We're here for Skyrocket coaching, new branding and website launch.
So this is really, really cool. I guess we can start by, Michele, why don't you introduce yourself and who you are and what you do, and then we can get into the nuts and bolts.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Michele Stowe. I am the founder and owner of Skyrocket Coaching. I'm an executive coach who works with nonprofit leaders and their teams. Came into this and launched the business about 2 years ago after a career in both human resources and for-profit, and 12 years as Chief Operating Officer of Mercy Housing. So delighted to be here with the marketing team. Iris, do you want to tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. I'm Iris Goldfeder, CEO of Gas Stove Creative. We're an all-in-one marketing solution, and we had our hand in building the website with Kim. And, I think for us, it was really, like you said earlier, just really getting to know you, Michele, and, who you are and what you're about. But we can get into that in a minute. Kim, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Kim Russo on Brand Designs, and I create branding and websites through graphics and, like I said, telling people stories and really bringing their ideas to life and getting to know who you're working with to have it be their vision brought to life. So,
what a great intro, Kim, to exactly what you both did, right? So I launched my business 2 years ago. I had a little website out there that was like, hey, I'm in business, y'all. And did what I could with what I had. And it was really 2 years later that I really knew who I was, what my business was, my value proposition, who I was going to be working with. And what I appreciate about Kim and Iris is the process started by getting to know me, getting to know my business, who I was targeting, and what unique stories did I have to tell. So as Kim said, right, all of that wrapped into how to do all that with design. Yeah. And, in the interwebs.
Too. That was one thing that was like, I want to know what you like, what visually is attractive to you, because at the end of the day, you need to love your brand. Mm-hmm. So in order to live in your brand and really sell your brand and be your brand, you have to love it. So that's always the mission when launching a new brand. So that is why we're here. We're launching the new logo and a website for Michele. So I think we should just get right into it, and I'll share my screen where you'll see the logo and the website.
And I love how you say launching, because
Skyrocket.
Exactly when you'll see the the logo, it should, when it loads. Okay, there we go. It should kind of make sense. So can we zoom in on the logo, or do you just have a picture of just the logo, Kim? There we go. So, Michele, does leadership coaching, and, there's a few facets to what she does. And there's, like the beginning and intermediate, and then when you get to that level. So, Kim, do you want to talk about why you designed it that way? Because I think it was brilliant. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah. So, we always do a competitive analysis and then always ask for things that our clients like. So Michele sent over a range of different styles of logos, and she did a good job of explaining what she liked about them. So that really kind of helped to know where to start from. And then knowing that she wanted a more of a simple font approach to it. She also had this background in, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it comic books or graphic novels? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So kind of wanted to tie some of that element into it as well. So that's where kind of this kind of dotted line comes into play to kind of bring in a more minimalistic version of that. And then just talking about Skyrocket and launching your business and how she helps to do this for you. So this progression of like starting out with just your paper plane, and then you get a little bit faster in your business, and then you're an airplane taking off, and then you get to the rocket ship where you're launched. So that's kind of where it was. And the reason why we have this simple, clean font is we didn't want to take away or be too busy with focusing on these graphics here. So
nice.
So
and we just got a comment from someone saying, well done. The 3 images definitely speak to the level of clientele too.
Yes,
Thanks, Cheryl, for that comment, right? It's early in your career, mid-career, and C-suite and launching, right? So thank you.
And the cool thing for me was the process of how, when Kim, you sent because Michele, we were messing with like neon signs and like all these different things from the era, and how, there's a process. It's, I don't want people to just think that, bam, we just like hit it out of the park, which would be amazing. But, there's always a process. So, we send, we ask the client what it is that they want and, what's their design style. So when we get like 70s, 80s cartoon comic, I think of like neon, and, Michele thought neon too. And Kim had her ideas. And then, Kim sent the designs over, and then we just really worked through and customized it and dialed in until, Kim, hit it out of the park with that. It was perfect.
And we had a color palette to start with because this was a rebrand. We were holding on to the colors to kind of keep that brand authenticity and still tie it back into the original brand. So, and blue is a very trusting color too, as well. So it kind of lend itself to working with this style as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And it just went in. And then I think as we go, down the site, the headers, one of the things that, at Gas Stove we do is now we build our websites to be, accessible to pretty much anybody. So that does mean ADA compliance. It also means, easy on the eyes. And, in choosing, well, these are all Michele's pictures, first off, because she's like just a badass adventurer. So I'm just going to throw that out there, but it's true. We were looking at that thing where you were like 3,000 whatever feet. I'm like, I would have passed out at like 1,000. I couldn't have gone those other two, but we wanted everything to be really clean and the user experience to be, just really pleasant. So anybody can just kind of scroll through, hit the flow. The flow is really nice. It, as we scroll down, we just see that it explains everything and everything flows nicely into each other.
And then since we have the 3 icons and there's 3 main services that Michele does, so it kind of tied up easily to use this as elements that we could use along the website as well. So each of these go to a page talking about it. So you always want your homepage to have sort of a graphic navigation for the rest of your website. So we come in here to all the services, and then we have a couple ways to get to the about section. So one of the things, Michele, if you want to talk about, is that you have the experience. And so that was the big thing that we wanted to convey, the reason why people should work with you.
Right. Yeah. And so we pulled in this picture of the executive team from Mercy Housing when I was the chief operating officer, right? So, current and former CEO in this picture, CFO, right? This was a powerhouse team, and it was great work, and it was also super challenging. And so to help folks, get to know me and understand that I've been there, right? I understand what it's like working with boards that can be tricky, with, the firefighting on the daily, as well as needing to stay at that strategic level. And it was 12 years of fabulous work that I really enjoyed. And now I'm happy to be walking side by side with leaders that are also in this space. So I'm glad we found this a nice spot for this picture, right? For the message that it conveys, to your point, Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you want to get the why right away. And so this is definitely part of the why. And then we lead into a little intro that gets to your full bio. Yeah. And then social proof is always important. So we do have this kind of standardized throughout every page and trickling in different testimonials throughout. And then just a clean footer. So we've got just our basic kind of contact info and using the same kind of graphics as an icon in here as well. And then linking to your social. Yep. So we'll come over to the about page.
And just to, speak about this. So the quilt was really, really, really important to get the story of the quilt that is behind Michele. And anytime you meet with her virtually, you will see that quilt. And there's a really great story behind it. You'll have to go to the website to find it because I'm not going to say it. But it was really important to get the story of the quilt, because I think that really is kind of what really what grew you into doing what you do, right? I mean, the values that you were raised with, all of it. And I think the quilt just says, just tells such an amazing story. And yes, it is a pretty special quilt. So, but we really wanted to incorporate that in. And again, that goes, to point to getting to know your client. A lot of people just want to build a website. They're like, I just want a website. But, when we do this, we really want to get to know who we're working with and what's important to them, because then that, gets consumed properly by their ideal audience. And Michele, this was just a perfect example. That quilt was, because I asked you the first time we met, I was like, ooh.
And a lot of folks do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, usually the question is like, are you a quilter? Oh gosh, no. But all the more reason why I respect, right, this artistry. And I won't give it away. The story's on the website, go look at it. But basically, it's just the inspiration of strong women and the power of writing your own rules at times, and still building something beautiful along the way.
Right.
So,
and that's
a teaser.
Perfect analogy. And Kat is on there. Hey, Kat. Love what you do too. Thank you. So, Kim, do you want to talk more about the design of this page, or do we want to go?
Yeah, we kind of talk about all over the site. I kind of have some of these playful movement, and this kind of brought back in a minimalistic way the graphic novel idea. So it's trying to bring Michele's personality and her likes into it as well, but still keeping it clean and modern, and just kind of playing with how the layout is. We don't have to be so gridded anymore, and that's kind of like a new trend in website design. And just be more playful with it too. So you can kind of have your eye move across the page. And so then we talk again about her experience. And then she recently won this award. So you always wanted to definitely showcase any awards that you win as well. So that was exciting.
Talk about that, Michele,
this was a total surprise from a client who, at the dinner after a day-long retreat, presented me with this. I've been working with them for a few years and bringing some other coaches in to work with them, as well as some trainers. And I just think the world of this client, and I'm so grateful that they provide me with this award for excellence, and an absolute surprise. I was happy for the steak dinner. And then the award showed up.
And it worked out great, because this was right when I was building the site. So I was like, let's get it in there.
I need to
seriously.
Yeah.
So, in there. I saw a great note from Cheryl that, quilts hold so much history and how lives and careers are woven together. So many great metaphors, right? With quilts, with, and to this next section, right, to the outside of work, metaphors about climbing mountains, about taking risks and facing fear. And I try to live it, right? And I might be a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, so there's that. But yeah.
But I don't think you try to live it, you do live it. And my favorite saying from Yoda is, do, there is no try, right?
There is no try.
And you do it. I mean, you do all the things. Which really, I think,
the dragon boat. Yeah, I'm the loud one on the drum.
I think the really cool thing is that, this shows all of the sides of you, right? Like, your coaching piece, your adventurous piece, your just all of it, the things that make you, or that make up you. What is the correct English for that? You're academia, correct me on that, because but it's just really important, because when people go to your website, they want to know who they're working with. And a lot of times you'll go to these sites, like my old site used to be really, really corporate, when Kim was like, it has to be about you. And I was like, no, it doesn't. But you know what? It does at the end of the day, because people are working with you. And Michele, people are working with you and they see this and they know exactly who they're getting, badass, leadership coach who does all the things.
Well, and then it gives them a place too to ask questions, and it opens up dialogue too, more than just business. So it gives that relationship to like, know, and trust somebody. So,
Right.
These are pretty cool stories, I'm sure. So it definitely gives you that edge there too.
So where was that 2307?
I'm sorry?
Where was the 2307?
Oh, that's meters. So that's in Japan. So we're 2,300 meters, which my math isn't good enough. I see Patrick Powisser's commenting he might be better at the math than me. So this is the highest peak of the mountain range that we were skiing at the time in Japan, and so it was just an opportunity to claim it. But it's interesting when you talk about getting to know you. When we work with clients as executive coaches, I will make sure that when I first meet a client that they've talked to other coaches too, because fit is everything, right? You're doing some deep work when you're working in partnership with an executive coach. And so, if I can recommend a Patrick, if I can recommend a Cheryl, right, to say, make sure you talk to some other folks too. And what I like about this is, to your point, Kim, it's a shorthand. It's a really faster way to get to know what makes me tick and to be able to get to know folks, right? So yes, my nonprofit work is important to me. Yes, my outdoor life is important to me. Yes, family, history, strong women, important to me. So it's, for all of us, we have interesting stories to tell. So thank you, Patrick, 7,000 feet.
I'd be dead. There's no way. I think my body would implode on itself.
Okay, we're going to move through. So the rest of this is kind of, again, social proof down here and companies we've worked with, and then a way to reach her on every page. So if we come here, we'll start with what we do, just to kind of see the comparison. So this is kind of your main page to get to all the rest of your services again. And so this graphic was pretty cool. Just talking about all the things that you do offer for your clients.
And as a Gen Xer, kind of old school, I was happy to see the shuttle.
Right.
So we come in here to breaking up again, a way to get to those pages.
Yep.
And then again, coming back down to the social proof and coming back into companies. And then all of these we actually had to narrow down some of them. Click to repeating this on every page. I'm just going to feel free to jump in. I'm just going to navigate a little bit quicker due to time. So coming into each of these pages, I chose a photo that represented each of these levels and offerings. You'll see here again, I've got this sort of graphic to go back to the graphic novel concept. So yeah, this, I don't know if Michele, if you want to talk about any of your services.
Yeah, no, this highlights the key three things that I do, right? I work with individuals and executive coaching. I work with their teams to help their performance and their improvement and their focus on relationships, right? To ensure that they can be as efficient as possible and mission focused as possible. And, as Kim clicks over, I do a little bit of public speaking here and there. God knows I love a stage. But, if there's an opportunity, I work with a lot of clients on either a small keynote or some training. And so the team here, both Kim and Iris, decided to include this video of my Annie Get Your Nun presentation that I did a few years back. So if you want a good laugh and see me curse a little bit in the same breath as I'm talking about Catholic sisters, that's the place to go. Getting shit done in a habit. Just based on my 12 years working at Mercy, I learned so much about these incredible women. And so I also offer some work with group coaching, bringing groups of individuals that are either part of a team or in different organizations, but that share similar responsibilities. So that's primarily who I work with. What I appreciate, though, about the world that I'm in is I don't have the answers for everything. And so if this is a way for someone to reach out and say, hey, I'm looking for something a little bit different than what you offer, I am more than happy to talk to folks about what their needs are and make sure they connect to the right resource. And so with this, I really wanted to be explicit about what I do. And even though I certainly have contacts and a community that can meet a whole variety of needs, including web design, logo design, just saying.
Well, thank you. But one of the things too that I really want to touch on is that pictures make the website. A lot of people, don't understand that. And, there's the story and you can tell the story, but if you have shitty pictures telling the story,
yeah,
the story gets across. But when you have really good representation, like we have here, I think it really kind of levels it up, and that's what we do. And Kim, working with you, because you're just like a goddess at all this stuff. And
good photos makes what I do look good. So without good photos, it's not.
Well, there you go. And Michele, all of your stories and all of your, like even the ramen has a story. Everything has a story behind it, and that's what's so fascinating. This is probably one of my favorite projects ever. I love you to death. So, you've just become, a really good friend. But, besides that, there's so many layers to you that it made this so easy for us to be like, ooh, we could do this and we could talk about this and we could do this. And because there's just so much to you that it really made this just wonderful to work on and, you to work with.
Well, it's sweet. And honestly, when it's your life, you're living it. It's almost hard to see. You're so close. Like, this is my story, right? I take a lot for granted of like my background, my upbringing, the ramen noodle plan my daughter and I built when I launched the business, right? Having someone to be a sounding board to say, no, stop, that needs to be told, right, is incredibly helpful, because I think it's hard when we're just living it every day to know, that could be interesting to someone, right? So that was incredibly helpful in the process.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this whole project was really, really great. And Kim, you just have such an eye for design and for what, works. I remember when I first saw the site and it was black and white, I was like, but then it just, right. But then as, we went in, it all made sense. It was, everything just made sense. And
it's definitely built more conceptual. So like having the black and white images and the images that were chosen for each of these headers were all done conceptually to make sense for the page. So it isn't your typical, like, a lot of mine, I'm in the head, or, I'm in the picture, but for this, it was very conceptual for each thing, especially since we had like the levels of the icons. And then when I saw this title that she gave me, I was like, well, we have to put ramen noodles in there. And then to put it even further, this is a picture that you took, Michele, or your daughter took, right?
My daughter made the food, photographed the food, and it represents she and I basically prepping the family budget for how to start a business, right? I had never been an entrepreneur before, and it was a whole family effort to make sure that we could start well, and I'd still have a roof over both of our heads. So what I love about this page especially is I'm not a writer. I enjoy writing occasionally. I have something to say, and I ping from other people's brilliance into storytelling. So I write occasionally, and I like to post on LinkedIn. I don't really want to maintain a blog. Frankly, I'm no good at the idea of forced writing like a newsletter every month. There are other folks that are just gifted in this space, and they see a story and everything around them. I hit an inspiration point every now and again, and I do feel like I want to write about and share it. And so what you see here is Kim and the team did an outstanding job of just pulling what I have on LinkedIn and pulling a selection of articles so that this isn't a page I have to actively maintain, right? It's a page that when I decide that there's something on LinkedIn I want to share on this, I call the team and say, hey, can you help me post this on the page? Great, thank you. But it still shows a client where my data, my research, my work, my focus on leadership development is. without it being over the top.
Right. And
Or,
it brings
or
you
over the top in my book, like I don't have to make
yeah. And it brings you, they all bring you to your LinkedIn page, which helps with that traffic and SEO getting you there. And you're more active too on LinkedIn. So it's somewhere you can show up more than your website. So it's a good way to like pull people in there as well.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And also, you know, when we built the site, we didn't use JPEGs or PNGs. We actually converted all of the pictures to WebP for load time and load speed, because that's one of the things that are really important as well. Is, you know, especially on mobile, 98% of people are on this puppy now. So it's really important for it to load quickly on the phone, for Google to see that it loads quickly everywhere, and so that people can consume all of the information again in a really nice laid out format. So I don't know if y'all can see it on here, but it's just really
Nice.
It's just really, you know, pretty, and everything just kind of is laid out really nicely. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. And it's just been a pleasure with, you know, working with you, Kim, always, you know, with you and your design. It's just like off the hook. So
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Skylar wants to
Approves.
Skylar approves. I will approve in a minute too, I'm sure.
Well, I just want to thank you both, because, you know, the day that Iris shared this website with me, you know, we were joking that we should have videotaped it. It was like an unboxing moment. Because what I had put out there was nice, but it wasn't me. And this I can fully say is me. And that's, you know, it has the benefit of being true that this team, you know, Kim, Iris, and the folks, because it's more than the two of you are leading teams that get this done. And there's a lot to it. You ask me to describe any of the tech that Iris just walked through, right? Any of the work that Kim did to make sure the logo plays well in the environment. You know, that's it as a solopreneur. Those moments can get really overwhelming, and having a team like Kim and Iris really help make sure that you can get something out there that's really high quality, it's professional, it gets it done. So yeah, and a big thank you from Julia. She loves the website. Thank you, Julia.
Thanks, Julia.
Thank you
Great
for
job.
coming. Yeah, so go check out this. Yeah,
check out the site, www.skyrocketcoaching.com. Check out Kim at On Brand Designs, me at Gasto Creative. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. This has been so much fun. So
live is fun. Yeah, we appreciate everybody who came on, and there'll be a replay in our LinkedIn pages.
Yeah.
So, thank you, everybody.
Bye all.
Thank you.